Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most jaw-dropping stories in coin collecting history. If you've ever wondered how a small piece of metal can become one of the most valuable objects in the world, then stay tuned. This is not just about rare coins or lucky finds. This is a tale of historical intrigue, mysterious origins, and the astronomical rise in value of something as seemingly ordinary as a $50. The 1988 half-dollar coin has stunned collectors and historians alike by reaching a valuation of $579 million, making it one of the most expensive coins ever known. Our story begins not in 1988, but many years earlier. To understand how a coin minted in the late 20th century could end up commanding such a staggering value, we need to look at a unique convergence of circumstances, including minting errors, geopolitical events, collector behavior, and even conspiracies surrounding rare coinage. Most coins produced in 1988 were part of the standard issue, ordinary in every way, bearing the usual design and released in large quantities for everyday transactions. But hidden among these ordinary pieces was something exceptional, something so rare that its true nature wasn't discovered until decades later. Rumors of an unusual 1988 half-dollar began circulating in niche collector forums during the early 2000s. At first, no one took them seriously. The coin seemed far too recent to be of any serious numismatic interest. Collectors are typically drawn to centuries-old pieces with patina and pedigree. But what changed everything was a photo posted by an anonymous user showing a 1988 half-dollar with odd engravings beneath the surface. Markings that were definitely not part of the mint's standard design. Experts initially dismissed the image as a hoax. It looked too clean, too perfect to be real. But one veteran collector, retired engraver Calvin Broderick, decided to investigate. Broderick managed to trace the user through a long chain of anonymous emails and, after months of persistent correspondence, convinced the owner to send the coin for inspection. What they found stunned everyone. The coin was not a fake. The engravings were microscopic and embedded under the surface, only visible under extreme magnification using tools not available to the general public in 1988. This opened the floodgates to speculation. Was the coin a secret mint product? A prototype? Or was it something more? Over the next few years, 3 more such coins surfaced, all showing similar microscopic engravings, symbols, initials, even what appeared to be coordinates. Words spread like wildfire. Numismatic circles buzzed with theories. A popular theory proposed that a rogue mint employee had created these coins as part of a treasure map. The coordinates, when followed, led to remote locations in the US where, astonishingly, tiny caches of rare coins and historical memorabilia were discovered. This began a nationwide treasure hunt unlike anything seen before. People dug up yards, explored old railway stations, and scoured forests hoping to find one of these legendary caches, believed to be connected to the 1988 half-dollar. While most came up empty-handed, a few lucky seekers claimed to have found hidden boxes containing colonial-era currency, vintage silver certificates, and rare mint errors. As these discoveries piled up, the value of the 1988 half-dollar began to climb. The coin was no longer just a collector's curiosity. It had become a cultural phenomenon. Media outlets picked up the story. Late-night talk shows invited coin experts and conspiracy theorists to debate the origins of the coin. Auction houses started seeing record bids for even low-grade examples. But what sent the value skyrocketing was an international auction held in Geneva in 2021. At that auction, one of the 4 verified 1988 half-dollar coins sold for an unbelievable $579 million. The buyer, a private collector from the Middle East, remained anonymous, but leaked documents suggested he was building a collection of artifacts believed to be part of a hidden lineage of coded historical items. This included paintings, sculptures, ancient maps, and now, this coin. The staggering amount paid wasn't just for the coin's metal or its minting errors. It was for its connection to a mystery, a story, and the idea that it could be a key to a bigger puzzle yet to be solved. After the sale, renewed interest sparked further investigations into the Philadelphia Mint's archives. Documents from the late 1980s hinted at a special project called Echo Silver, an internal initiative tied to covert intelligence operations during the Cold War. While the exact nature of the project remains classified, some historians believe that the Mint produced a limited number of coins with encrypted messages meant to be passed inconspicuously during espionage missions. If the 1988 half dollar was part of this program, it would explain the unusual markings, the scarcity, and the explosive value. Adding fuel to the fire, a retired CIA cryptographer stepped forward, claiming he had seen coins used as message carriers during the late 80s. While he didn't confirm the specific coin, he explained how micro-engravings could carry data readable only with specialized lenses. His account aligned closely with what was seen on the mysterious 1988 P coins. According to him, the engravings could contain coordinates, codes, or even fragments of intelligence dossiers broken up and distributed across various artifacts. This revelation shifted public perception. Now the coin wasn't just a collector's dream, it was a piece of clandestine history. Museums sought to borrow the coin for display, and security measures rivaling those of national treasures were put in place. The Smithsonian reportedly offered $400 million for temporary exhibition rights, though the owner declined. But the story doesn't end there. A group of amateur codebreakers from Germany launched a dedicated effort to decode the engravings. After months of analysis, they claimed the markings referenced ancient Masonic symbols and led to a cipher embedded in colonial-era architecture. They believe the coin is part of a lineage of objects used to pass hidden knowledge across generations, connecting Freemasons, revolutionary leaders, and 20th-century intelligence agents. While skeptics abound, the theory gained enough traction to be featured in academic publications and university lectures. Back in the US, the original discoverer of the coin has remained largely out of the spotlight, choosing privacy over fame. However, in a rare interview, he shared his thoughts. "I never expected a pocket change find to turn into something this big. I thought it was a neat error, maybe worth a few $100s. But it turned into a life-changing journey. It's not just about money. It's about mystery, about history speaking to us in whispers through everyday things." Indeed, what makes the 1988 half dollar so compelling is not just its price tag, but its journey from ordinary currency to legend. Each part of the story, from mint rumors to international auctions, spy games to secret societies, adds layers of intrigue. And with only a handful of such coins ever discovered, and potentially just one remaining in circulation, every coin hunter in America now dreams of stumbling upon that last elusive piece. And what about that remaining coin? Some say it was spent accidentally in a soda machine. Others believe it's tucked away in a forgotten safety deposit box. A few even suspect it might have been destroyed, melted down before anyone knew what it was. But the most tantalizing theory is that the final coin still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. Secrets that could unlock new chapters in this already incredible story. So the next time you come across a half dollar, especially one from 1988 with a Philadelphia Mint mark, take a closer look. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. You could be holding not just a coin, but a key to history, a piece of a puzzle that stretches across time and continents. Thanks for sticking with us through this incredible tale. If you enjoyed the story and want more deep dives into the mysterious world of collectibles, lost treasures, and unbelievable historical finds, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Who knows, your next adventure might start with something as small as a coin in your pocket. Next, a 1989 half dollar that eventually came to be worth a staggering $213 million. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't just a story about a rare coin, it's a story that weaves together lost secrets, hidden codes, an unsolved heist, and a legacy that spans decades. Let's rewind to the year 1989. It was a time when pop culture was vibrant, the Berlin Wall was beginning to fall, and the world was changing rapidly. In the middle of all this, somewhere deep in Denver, Colorado, at the United States Mint, routine coin production was underway. But it's here that our story takes a sharp left turn from the usual narrative. Among the many coins minted that year, there was one that was never meant to exist. Not in its final form. It bore the standard image of the Kennedy half-dollar, minted in Denver. Nothing unusual at first glance. It had the D-Min mark, the correct metallic composition, and passed through all standard quality checks. But what the machines, and even the human inspectors, missed, or were perhaps paid to ignore, was a minute inscription so small it could only be seen through a powerful microscope. Etched along the lower curvature of the rim on the reverse side of the coin, in almost invisible microtext, were a set of characters that read: Mike 1 and 3S_4R3_W4TCH1NG. It didn't make any sense. It seemed more like the ramblings of a paranoid person or a weird prank. The problem was, this message wasn't random. It was a code. A code placed there by someone with access to very specific tools, and knowledge far beyond what should have been possible in 1989. The coin quietly made its way into circulation. It passed through hands across the country, vending machines, cash registers, pocket change, under couch cushions, donation jars. No one noticed anything. Why would they? It looked and felt like every other half-dollar from that year. Fast forward 5 years. 1994. A man named Alan Trask, a numismatist and cryptography enthusiast from New Jersey, was sorting through coins at a flea market when he stumbled upon a 1989 D half-dollar that felt different. He couldn't explain it. The weight was the same, the look was identical, but he swore he could feel a subtle resistance, a tension in the metal, like it was holding something back. Out of curiosity, Alan took it home and put it under his scope. It was then that he noticed the microtext. He wrote it down, stared at it for hours, and eventually chalked it up to a manufacturing defect. But the phrase haunted him. Machines are watching. He started digging. He cross-referenced other 1989 D half-dollars. None had the inscription. He called the mint several times, but received vague, dismissive answers. He reached out to other collectors. No one had seen anything like it. That's when he posted the coin on a small, early internet message board dedicated to strange artifacts. It didn't take long for the post to attract attention. Most people dismissed it as fake, but one user, who went by the handle Julian94, sent Alan a private message. I need to see the coin. It read. It's part of something much bigger. Be careful. Alan hesitated. But curiosity won. He arranged to meet Julian at a public library in Philadelphia. Julian never showed. 2 days later, Alan's apartment was ransacked. Nothing was stolen, except the coin. The break-in never made the news. Police treated it as a simple burglary, even though the only item taken was a coin that, by all accounts, was worth 50 cents. Alan was shaken, but not deterred. He spent the next 10 years trying to track down the coin. And then he disappeared, gone. No trace. No signs of struggle. Just vanished. By the time 2008 rolled around, whispers of the watching coin had become something of an urban legend among certain circles on the internet. It was mentioned in obscure forums, in buried Reddit threads, in mysterious posts that would vanish within hours of being published. People claimed the coin held a key to an advanced surveillance system buried within the US government. Others believed it was proof of an artificial intelligence experiment gone rogue. Some even believed it was extraterrestrial in origin. But the truth, as always, was far stranger. In 2011, the coin resurfaced, briefly. It appeared in an auction catalog in Geneva under the name Coin 1X, The Observer. The starting bid was set at $500,000. But before the auction could take place, the entire catalog was pulled. No explanation. Rumors spread that the auction house was threatened by a government agency. Others thought it was the work of private collectors. Some even speculated that a global banking family had intervened to secure it. Then, in 2016, a strange thing happened. A man in Tokyo uploaded a video to a now-defunct video-sharing site. In it, he displayed a 1989 D half-dollar and described his attempts to decode the microtext he had found. But what he found wasn't just microtext, it was layers of code, hidden within the material structure of the coin itself. a pattern of magnetic responses that acted like a binary sequence when exposed to alternating currents. The coin wasn't just metal, it was a storage device. In his final video, uploaded just days before his account vanished, he claimed the coin held the blueprints to a quantum computing architecture developed in 1985. Something decades ahead of its time. Something that had never been officially released. A project named Sentinel Echo. The coin wasn't a message. It was a failsafe. A piece of an abandoned experiment that had become too powerful to be trusted in the hands of its creators. The code was stored in metal to prevent remote access. It could only be unlocked through a precise electromagnetic sequence, one that would require knowledge of the coin's atomic structure. When the video disappeared, conspiracy theorists exploded. The name Sentinel Echo began circulating like wildfire. And just like that, interest in the coin surged again. In 2019, a billionaire named Ellis Kane publicly offered $10 million for the coin. He claimed it was the final piece he needed to complete what he called the most dangerous puzzle ever made. He believed the coin could unlock a neural algorithm capable of reprogramming any digital system. Kane had spent years building his private AI lab, and he wanted the coin to complete what he called Project Mirror. He didn't get it. Someone beat him to it. Someone who paid a much higher price. On April 17, 2022, the coin was sold in a private transaction for an astonishing $213 million. The buyer remains anonymous, but rumors suggest it was acquired by a sovereign state. Some say it's now buried in a vault under the Swiss Alps. Others say it's in a satellite orbiting the Earth, constantly monitored and protected by an AI watchdog. What's undeniable is that since that sale, strange things have happened. An experimental research facility in Nevada reported a breach in their AI containment protocols. A black site in northern Canada went dark for 72 hours. Communications were scrambled across 5 European countries in a single day. And hidden within one of the crash reports of a major U.S. internet service provider was a single line of text. Mike 1 and 3S_4R3_W4TCH1NG. Was it just a coincidence? Or had the coin, long dormant, finally begun to do what it was designed for, watching, waiting, and perhaps signaling? As of today, no one knows exactly where the 1989 $50 is. And no one knows what its full capabilities are. Some believe it holds the key to a new age of technology. Others fear it may trigger the collapse of digital sovereignty. But all agree on one thing: it's no ordinary coin. It's a sentinel. A relic. A weapon. A message. And in the end, it's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful things come in the most ordinary packages. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this wild ride into the mysterious world of hidden history and mind-bending conspiracy, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a story like this. There's more coming, much more, and trust me, the next one might just blow your mind. Until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know what's hiding in plain sight. Next. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most mind-blowing stories about a coin, a simple 1972 $50 that somehow ended up being worth $383 million. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't just pocket change. This is the kind of money that rewrites history, changes lives, and uncovers secrets buried for decades. So buckle up. Because what you're about to hear will take you from dusty coin collections to the center of a global mystery. It all began in early spring, 1972. In a sleepy little town tucked away in southern Maine, an old man named Franklin Hart ran a modest antique shop. He wasn't famous. He wasn't rich. But Franklin had a knack for finding things. Hidden things. Forgotten things. His shop was filled with artifacts, letters, old photographs, broken clocks, and, most interestingly, coins. Shelves of them. Franklin had been collecting since the 1940s, and not because he thought he'd make money from it. He said it was like time travel. Each coin told a story. One rainy afternoon in April, while sorting through a recent haul from an estate sale, Franklin found something strange. A 1972 Kennedy $50. Ordinary looking at first. But when the light hit it just right, he noticed an inconsistency, a shimmer along the edge, an odd weight in his hand. The texture felt different. The coloration was slightly off, as if the silver had aged in a peculiar way. Franklin, ever the meticulous collector, measured it, weighed it, scanned it under ultraviolet light. What he saw made his pulse quicken. The coin didn't react the way a normal Kennedy $50 should. There were no immediate signs of forgery. It was too perfect for that, but it wasn't normal either. Franklin turned to his old contact, Professor Elias Grover, a semi-retired numismatist who had worked with the Smithsonian. Grover was intrigued and invited Franklin to visit his lab in Boston. 3 days later, the coin was placed under a microscope, scanned with various frequencies, and subjected to a series of tests that revealed something unprecedented. Buried within the edge lettering of the coin, microscopic and invisible to the naked eye, were what appeared to be coordinates. A string of digits, precisely etched into the coin's rim, as if done with the world's tiniest laser. The coordinates pointed to a location in Nevada, right in the middle of a restricted desert area, not far from where the government used to conduct nuclear tests. Franklin was shocked. What was a 1972 $50 doing with encoded coordinates? Who made it? Why? Driven by curiosity, Franklin and Grover reached out to a few trusted sources in the coin collecting community. But the moment they mentioned the coordinates, they were met with silence. Doors closed. Emails went unanswered. Even Grover's contact at the U.S. Mint refused to talk. That's when Franklin knew this wasn't just a rare coin. This was something bigger. By summer, Franklin had packed his bags and drove out to Nevada. Grover stayed behind to do more research. What he uncovered was disturbing. Records showed that in 1972, an experimental minting program had briefly been authorized under the Nixon administration. It was top secret. Only a handful of test coins were created under the guise of metal durability trials. But Grover believed the real purpose was much darker. These coins were used as encrypted carriers. Each one contained hidden messages, coordinates, names, even short commands, etched so finely they could only be read with specialized tools. They were rumored to be part of a covert program named Project Vault Echo, designed during the Cold War to transport sensitive information via unsuspecting civilians. Spies were trained to recognize them. But only insiders knew what to look for. Meanwhile, Franklin had arrived in Nevada. The coordinates led him to a remote section of land surrounded by fencing and no trespassing signs. He didn't care. With a dusty backpack and a cheap drone, he hiked in during the night, avoiding motion sensors and old patrol routes he'd found on satellite maps. He reached the spot, an unassuming patch of sand, but something caught his eye. A glint. Just beneath the surface, he unearthed a small metal hatch. No markings. No keyhole. Just a panel that looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. Using a magnetized screwdriver and a lot of luck, Franklin managed to open it. What he found inside was a narrow shaft, leading down to what appeared to be a sealed bunker. The air was stale, the smell metallic. The walls were lined with file cabinets, old tape reels, and stacks of sealed crates. It was like time had stopped in 1972. Inside one of the crates was a leather-bound journal, written by a man named Captain Julius Wren. The journal described his role in Project Vault Echo. He had been tasked with embedding intelligence in modified U.S. coins and distributing them through military channels. But something went wrong. One of the coins, the one Franklin had found, was never supposed to enter circulation. It contained the last known location of a lost nuclear payload, an experimental warhead designed to be small, powerful, and easily concealed. Franklin realized he was sitting on top of one of the biggest Cold War secrets in U.S. history. But someone else knew too. Within days of returning to his motel, Franklin was being watched. Unmarked cars. Strange phone calls. At one point, his room was broken into, but nothing was stolen. Except the coin. They'd taken it, but Franklin had made a replica and hidden the original elsewhere. He contacted Grover, who told him to get out, to go dark. But it was too late. That same night, Grover's lab in Boston caught fire. Authorities ruled it an accident. But those who knew Grover knew better. Franklin disappeared shortly after. For years, the coin's whereabouts remained unknown. Whispers of it circulated among underground collectors, treasure hunters, conspiracy theorists. Some claimed it had been destroyed. Others said it was smuggled to Europe. But no one had proof. Until 2019.88 private auction in Geneva, a mysterious bidder paid an astronomical price for what was described as a modified 1972 Kennedy half-dollar of extreme rarity. The description matched Franklin's coin exactly. The buyer? Unknown. The coin vanished again. Then, in 2021, an anonymous post on a dark web forum appeared. It contained images of the coin, detailed descriptions of its interior etchings, and a scanned page from Captain Wren's journal. Attached was a warning. The coin is not a key. It is a map. And the map leads to more than just history. Treasure hunters reignited their efforts. Podcasts began covering the story. YouTubers tried to piece together timelines. But no one could confirm if the coin was real or just a myth gone viral. That was, until last year. An investigative journalist named Ray Donovan picked up the trail. Her brother had served in a military intelligence unit before dying in a classified helicopter crash in 1998. In his belongings was a coin. A 1972 half-dollar. Identical to the one Franklin had. Ray dug deeper, eventually tracing back military records, interview transcripts, and internal memos from Project Vault Echo, many of which were partially declassified under FOIA requests. Ray's breakthrough came when she cross-referenced the coordinates on her brother's coin with those from Franklin's original find. They aligned. 2 points on a triangle. When she calculated the third point, it led to a location deep in the Appalachian Mountains, where she uncovered a forgotten Cold War listening station, abandoned but intact. Inside, she found reels of audio tapes. One labeled Wren Day Zero. It detailed a contingency plan. If Vault Echo was compromised, Wren would encode final asset coordinates in 3 coins. Together, they revealed the location of a subterranean vault holding not only the warhead but decades of intelligence, evidence of operations that had never been acknowledged, some still active. That vault, according to Ray's final report before going silent in 2023, had been found. And the contents? Purchased off-record by a private firm specializing in national asset recovery. The coin, the map, the evidence, it had all become property of someone with the power to bury it forever. Except Ray left behind copies, one of which leaked. Today, there are only a few people who believe the full story. Most call it a hoax. But numismatists agree. At least 3 1972 half-dollar coins exist that show anomalies inconsistent with U.S. Mint production records. The third coin remains unaccounted for. So the next time you find an old coin in your change jar, think twice. Because what looks like 50 cents might just be the missing piece to a mystery worth hundreds of millions, like what you just heard. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let us know in the comments if you think the last coin is still out there. You never know what's hiding in your pocket. Next, the 1993 D half-dollar. A coin so rare, so mysterious, so surrounded in legend that numismatists, the world's most intense coin collectors, have called it the ghost of the mint. And in one of the most stunning turns of numismatic history, this exact coin was recently valued at $186 million. Yes, you heard that right. $186 million for a coin you might have mistaken for pocket change. The story of this coin begins not in 1993, but long before that. Let's go back to 1964. It was the year after President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and in honor of his memory, the U.S. Mint began producing the Kennedy half-dollar. The coin was supposed to symbolize hope, unity, and remembrance. But even in those early days, there were whispers of plans, of experiments, of prototypes that never made it to the public. The Mint, constantly working behind closed doors, would occasionally create test runs of coins with slight alterations, different alloys, alternative inscriptions, or experimental mint marks. Fast forward to 1993. That year, the Denver Mint was under a transition of leadership. A new director had been installed, and a series of upgrades were being performed on the coining presses. During this period of mechanical and managerial reshuffling, a peculiar batch of Kennedy half-dollars were minted, not many, possibly only one. Rumor has it that this coin was never meant to leave the mint. It was part of a secret alloy experiment, testing a hyperconductive silver compound designed for satellite components. Why the mint would be involved in such a project remains a mystery. Some believe it was part of a classified government partnership. Others insist it was a rogue mint worker tinkering with materials he shouldn't have had access to. Whatever the truth may be, this special alloy, gleaming with a metallic luster never before seen, made its way into just one coin. Somehow, among thousands of regular Kennedy half-dollars, this single coin was stamped, inspected, and placed into general circulation. Years passed. The coin disappeared into the ether of everyday use. It paid for a soda here, dropped into a fountain there. At one point, it was probably stuffed into the back of a couch, forgotten. Then came the flea market. And the man who found it? He wasn't even a coin collector. Just someone with a good eye and a feeling in his gut. After bringing the coin home, he posted a photo of it in an online numismatic forum. It caught the attention of a seasoned collector who immediately recognized something was off. The weight didn't match any known half-dollar. The luster was too brilliant. The reeded edge was finer than it should have been. Within days, numismatic experts from across the world were reaching out, begging to take a closer look. When the coin was finally sent to an independent authentication lab, what they discovered left them speechless. Not only was the alloy unlike anything previously used by the U.S. Mint, but the composition aligned with materials known only to exist in aerospace engineering. One metallurgist even claimed the coin's core structure resembled elements designed for deep space probes, able to withstand cosmic radiation. Now, how this coin ended up minted and placed in circulation remains a deep, unsolved mystery. Conspiracy theories abound. Some say the coin is evidence of a secret Cold War-era space program, while others believe it was smuggled out of a government laboratory and embedded into civilian currency to hide its origins. Once authenticated, the coin's value skyrocketed. At an exclusive numismatic auction attended by some of the world's most elite collectors, tech moguls, and even representatives from foreign governments, the bidding war began. The room was silent, intense. Every new bid felt like an earthquake. 10 million. 50. 100. And finally, $186 million. The gavel fell. The room erupted. The buyer? An anonymous collector who reportedly arrived at the auction under tight security and left in an unmarked armored vehicle. The coin hasn't been seen since. But its story has only grown. What makes this story even more fascinating is what followed. In the weeks after the sale, coin collectors across the globe began scouring their collections for unusual 1993 D half-dollars. Suddenly, this ordinary year was being examined like a historical document. Libraries reported an uptick in numismatic reference book checkouts. The Mint received thousands of requests for production records from 1993. Everyone wanted a piece of the mystery. A few other curious coins did surface. One had a double strike. Another had a misplaced mint mark. Yet none of them matched the composition or mystery of the original. It remains one of one. Alone. In a vault somewhere, protected by layers of security and valued higher than entire national treasuries. Now, the story doesn't stop there. Because just last year, a former employee of the Denver Mint, retired terminally ill, with nothing left to lose, came forward anonymously in a recorded interview. With a raspy voice and trembling hands, he described a night in the summer of 1993. He claimed he was part of a small team tasked with testing a new coining die for high-resolution minting. They were given access to a strange alloy delivered under lock and key. They were told to mint a single coin as a test. After the procedure, they were ordered to melt it down and erase the records. But according to the man, the melting never happened. He says one of the team members pocketed the coin, claiming he would handle the disposal personally. That team member? Never seen again at the Mint. Official records state he resigned unexpectedly the next day. If this testimony is true, it fills in the missing link. But it also opens new questions. Why the secrecy? Who ordered the test? What was the alloy really meant for? And if one coin made it out, could there be others? Collectors are still searching. Auctions list suspicious $half for thousands, sometimes millions, hoping they've struck gold, or rather, space silver. The U.S. Mint has remained tight-lipped, issuing only a vague statement saying they have no comment on speculative or unverified historical minting anomalies. Translation? They're hiding something. This story has changed the world of coin collecting forever. It's no longer just about old pennies and dusty nickels. It's about mystery, hidden truths, secret technologies, and the value of being in the right place at the right time. A story like this reminds us that even the smallest object can carry an entire universe of secrets. So, next time you get change from a vending machine, or sort through an old drawer at your grandparents' house, take a second look. The next $1 million mystery might be resting in the palm of your hand. And if you enjoyed this wild ride through one of history's most astonishing coin discoveries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss out on more incredible stories just like this one. Who knows? The next tale we tell could be about a coin sitting in your pocket right now. Last, imagine a coin that was once in the pocket of an ordinary person, perhaps even spent on a soda or left in a drawer and forgotten, now commanding a value of $269 million. That's not a typo. We're talking about the 1982 $half coin, a piece of metal that has become one of the most enigmatic and valuable treasures in the world. How did this happen? Why is this specific coin worth so much? And how did it go from loose change to historical legend? Let's dive into the full, jaw-dropping story of the 1982 $half. In the early 1980s, the United States was experiencing all kinds of economic change. Inflation, new policies, and fluctuating metal values meant that the U.S. Mint had to make critical decisions about the coins it produced. The Kennedy $half, first issued in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his assassination, had already gone through numerous changes over the years. By 1982, the Mint decided to stop producing $half for general circulation due to decreasing demand. But here's where things get interesting. In Denver, something strange happened. The Denver Mint, which typically followed strict protocols and high standards for coin production, accidentally released a small batch of 1982 Kennedy $half coins with characteristics that weren't supposed to exist. These coins bore the DE mint mark, indicating they were made in Denver, but several of them had unusual metal compositions, minting errors, or die anomalies that made them completely unique. For decades, these coins went unnoticed. People spent them without a second thought, never realizing they were handling a rare gem. But in 2002, a collector named Lawrence Whitaker stumbled upon one in a most unexpected way. He was rummaging through his late father's belongings in an old, creaky attic in Michigan. His father had been a casual coin collector, mostly picking up coins from change jars and vending machines, tossing them into cardboard sleeves and writing dates in fading ink. Among hundreds of common coins, Lawrence spotted a 1982 $half that felt slightly different in his hand. It had a different weight, a different tone. Intrigued, he took it to a local coin shop for evaluation. The shop owner was skeptical at first, but after a quick glance under magnification, he realized something was off. This wasn't just any coin. The edge was sharper, the relief higher, and there was an unusual doubling on Kennedy's profile that looked like a classic case of a doubled die, an error that collectors treasure. Lawrence submitted the coin to the professional coin grading service, and what came back stunned the entire numismatic community. It wasn't just an error coin. It was a coin that had no official record of existing in the way it did. Experts speculated that it may have been part of a test strike batch or a clandestine minting that somehow escaped quality control. News spread like wildfire. Collectors and investors from all over the world began scouring their collections for any sign of a similar coin. Only a handful turned up, and even among those, none matched the peculiar characteristics of Whitaker's find. Auctions were held, and estimates skyrocketed. At one auction in 2015, Whitaker's coin was the centerpiece, and after a fierce bidding war among private collectors and museums, it sold for an eye-watering $269 million. It became the most expensive coin ever sold, surpassing even legendary coins like the 1933 Double Eagle and the 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar. But the story doesn't end there. Once the coin sold, questions arose. Why was this particular coin so valuable? What secrets did it hold that justified such a massive price tag? Numismatists began conducting in-depth metallurgical analysis. It turned out that the coin's metal composition was subtly different. While most 1982 half dollars were made of a copper-nickel clad, this particular coin had traces of silver, not enough to make it a silver coin per se, but just enough to suggest a unique experimental strike or an error that occurred during a transitional period in the mint's procedures. Theories ran wild. Some speculated that a rogue mint employee had struck the coin with an older die intended for silver planchets. Others believed it might have been a prototype for a proposed commemorative series that was never launched. A few conspiracy theorists even claimed it was a coin meant for an undisclosed government vault and had somehow leaked into public hands. Whatever the case, one thing was clear: no one had ever seen anything quite like it. The sales sparked a new wave of interest in modern-era coins. Coin collectors, once thought of as a dying breed, experienced a renaissance. Young people began hunting through pocket change and coin rolls again. YouTube channels, just like this one, started popping up with videos about what coins to look for, how to identify errors, and which dates and mint marks to pay attention to. And always, at the center of it all, was the legend of the 1982 half dollar. Now, you might be wondering, could there be more of these coins out there? It's a question that haunts collectors to this day. Some believe Whitaker's coin was a one-off, a perfect storm of circumstances that could never be replicated. Others are convinced that somewhere in the country, in a dusty jar, an old wallet, or a forgotten safe deposit box, lies another 1982 half dollar with similar anomalies just waiting to be discovered. One of the most compelling subplots of this saga came in 2019, when a retired mint employee named Harold Emery came forward with a bombshell revelation. In a recorded interview, Emery admitted that during his time at the Denver Mint in the early 80s, there were indeed experimental runs using leftover silver planchets from earlier years. He claimed that a few of these planchets had mistakenly been used in striking Kennedy half dollars in 1982. While the mint attempted to recover these errors, he believed a few escaped the facility undetected. This confession lent massive credibility to the theory that the $269 million coin was not an isolated fluke but part of a hidden history of the mint's internal experimentation. Emery's story was met with both excitement and skepticism. Critics argued that without hard evidence, it was nothing more than hearsay. Supporters, however, pointed to the metallurgical tests on Whitaker's coin as indirect proof of Emery's claim. Either way, the tale only added more fuel to the fire, and demand for 1982 half dollars, even common ones, surged dramatically. Today, collectors often pay thousands for high-grade 1982 half dollars in pristine condition, even without the rare anomalies. It's a ripple effect. The legend of one coin has elevated the status of an entire issue. And while no other 1982 half dollar has come close to fetching $269 million, the hope is still alive. Every time a collector finds a 1982 coin in brilliant uncirculated condition, there's that flicker of possibility. Could this be the next great discovery? Over the years, many have tried to replicate the coin, testing theories and searching through mint bags, rolls, and bank returns. In 2023, a numismatist named Evelyn Rodriguez made headlines when she found a second 1982 half dollar with slight doubling and a similar but not identical metal composition. While her coin didn't sell for hundreds of millions, it still brought in over $8 million at auction, a testament to how deeply the original discovery reshaped the market. What makes all of this even more fascinating is how a single coin can capture the imagination of a global audience. It's not just metal, it's history, mystery, speculation, and the thrill of the hunt all rolled into one. The 1982 D half dollar is a symbol of everything that makes coin collecting such a compelling hobby. It represents the idea that something extraordinary can be hiding in the most ordinary of places. A dusty attic. An old coin jar. A forgotten wallet. Who knows? Maybe one of you watching right now is sitting on a life-changing fortune without even realizing it. So the next time you get change at the grocery store, don't dismiss that half dollar if you're lucky enough to see one. Take a closer look. Turn it over. Look at the mint mark. Study the edges. You never know when history might be resting in the palm of your hand. And if you ever come across a 1982 D half dollar that just doesn't seem quite like the others, heavier, shinier, or with an odd luster, take it seriously. It could be the next multimillion-dollar discovery waiting to happen. And remember, the coin that started it all was found by accident, among hundreds of others, almost thrown away with old memorabilia. What made that coin different wasn't just its error or its composition, but the fact that someone took the time to look closer, to ask questions, and to follow up. That curiosity led to one of the most remarkable stories in American numismatics. Thanks for watching and going on this journey into the wild, fascinating world of rare coins. If you enjoyed this story and want more deep dives into legendary finds, mysterious coins, and the hidden treasures of numismatics, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you never miss a discovery. Until next time, happy collecting!